Hi guys, SDJR7F88 speaking, with another much overdue layout update. Now first of all, I hope you all enjoyed Wagon Review Fortnite, as I, it was great fun to film. It was something a bit different, and I do plan to do more Wagon reviews, as I've got quite a bit of good feedback on those reviews. Any future wagons or wagons that I feel haven't been reviewed, because there aren't very many reviews of wagons online. So I thought I might do a few more in the near future, and then do a big running video, obviously when I get the layout back and running, up and running properly. Yeah, so I hope you all enjoyed that, and also the rail tour videos that popped up in between some of the reviews. As you know, I uploaded a wagon review every 2 days, and sometimes in the gaps in between I uploaded I think it was a class 56, Colossus Class 56 on empty logs. From Hewish Level Crossing, and then obviously I filmed the 2 rail tours going through Yatton, which went up on the Sunday about a fortnight ago now. So yeah, they were really enjoyable, and I hope to film, and I hope you enjoyed those too. So anyway, on to the main part of the video, which is of course a layout update, and of course being over a month since the last update, quite a bit has changed. First of all, we'll start with a bit of a basic change, the tarmac. As you can see there, that dark grey was the original colour I painted it with those poster paints. Didn't quite like it. It looked more like navy grey, but then again I am slightly colourblind. And the lighting up here, but I thought that colour doesn't really suit it. So I found another paint, which as you can see is right up against that, whoops, it's got out of focus, but there's quite a really pale grey. I think it's called Pale Shadow or something. It's actually a Dulux paint, or is it Crown? I'm not sure. I've got the bottle here. Yeah, it's a Crown wall paint. It's one of those little tester pots which you use to paint walls. My brother was having his room redone, and he wanted to repaint the walls, so we went to go get some paint, and sure enough I saw those little tester pots, and I thought they're about the right size. They're quite reasonably priced for compared to poster paint, big bottles of poster paints, which I only use a little bit of, sort of thing, and they don't seem to work properly. And it said it goes matte, and of course it's got to go matte because you're painting your walls with it, and sure enough it did. But I put it down and I thought that's quite light. So I then found that little tiny bottle. I'm not sure if I got it with me. It's probably hidden away somewhere. No, I'll put it back in the box. But there's as you know, when I did the cobbles on Compton Martin and Compton Kia, I had a little expensive bottle of mud wash. So I went over the top of it, and I got this colour, which I feel is more of a well worked area. It got a bit darker towards the back, sadly. Purely because I had to climb up onto the board, because to get up in the corner I have to climb on the board. Thankfully it is strong enough to hold me just about. Yeah, but it got a bit darker up there. But then again, that area of the yard is going to be covered up with a good shed, and also it's the more well worked area, because obviously this is where the wagons would stop in the back siding. Well, it'll go back there, and obviously more trucks and all that would have been there, so the road would have been more dirty and more well worn. Obviously these bits around the bottom I said are going to have weeds and all that to cover up that area, and there's going to be a bit of tracking on the front, and turns out there is enough area, believe it or not, for a road connection between the rail head here, which would be the buffers there, and there will be a gap wide enough for a truck or a van to get through. So what I'm going to do is might get a bit of clay and to sort of plug that hole in between the board and paint over it. So that worked out quite well. Then we move on to the bigger changes. First of all, I'll start with the tunnel mouth. It's a slightly smaller change, but I'm not sure if I featured that in my last update. But I finally got around to painting it black. It looks a bit like it's a bit rough on the camera, but when you see it in the flesh, it actually isn't. I'm quite surprised why the camera isn't doing that. Yeah, it looks more like that there, what you can see there. But I've also done the rock face. I actually finally got round to it. It's one of those things that I've been putting off for ages and ages, but I finally started doing it. Again, polystyrene covered with a masking tape, and then covered with glue and paper mache. I put the masking tape on there because I don't know why, but the paper mache doesn't like to, or PVA doesn't like to grip to the polystyrene, as mentioned when doing the other walls. Rock faces, as I say. So I did that. As you can see, it gets slightly thinner at the top there. On the level there and at the top, I'm going to do precisely like what I did here. When I get around to it, I did foliage and bushes and turf and stuff. And again, alongside the where the tunnel mouth blends in, I'm going to do that as well, and also where it blends into the wall there. That telegraph pole I've got to clean off because you see I've got a bit of grey paint on it. But I've added the earth turf on there to give it the effect of like algae and well, not algae, lichen and stuff on there. Then along the top there. Believe it or not, that's actually not paper mache, that's just painted onto the wall. A bit cheesy, but yeah, it does look effective from a distance. I mean, you know, it sort of fools the camera that it's paper mache and it's 3D. But I'll add a bit of turf along the top there to cover up those little rough edges, and it'll give it a nice effect that the rock face does continue on, because there's no point having a raised rock face and literally a blank wall above the tunnel mouth there. And obviously in the corner where I couldn't quite get the big paintbrush in, that's all going to be foliage up there, as if, well, like sort of like that there. But yes, that's that done. Then we move on to the town scene, or the little village scene, shall I say. I have got another tram stop. In fact, the pack actually came with two. I found one down Peakorama a couple of weeks ago. We briefly popped in there when me and my friends went down to Lyme Regis. So we popped in there and just briefly had a look around in the shop. I only got one little bit of footage, and that was of two miniature trains, the two of the miniature trains at Peakorama passing in double header form. I might upload it in the near future, but ironically there was one of the locos was in BR Blue, and it was actually called Callum. So that's a bit of a joke, because as you know, for those of you who don't know, my name's Callum, as quite a few of you have figured out now. But yeah, I got some tram stops after looking. You know, funny enough, they're actually made there, so it was quite easy to get hold of. So I've got a brand new tram stop I could put there. They're bus shelters basically, and I might be able to replace the one down there. Well, I might replace the one down there, or I might just add one to the street scene in some place. Or maybe just a bus stop randomly on the side of the road up here for buses, obviously. But in the meantime, I've removed the circus vehicles, and you can see the grass that I replaced a couple of weeks ago, and it does look much better, especially when it blends into the ballast there, which is, as you know, buff ballast. I've also done the hedges. I found some hedging, and I separated off all the gardens. So I've left the Portaloo there for the circus. I've gone all the way around there. I've added a little curved one in there, yeah, because it's all that flexible hedging. I forgot what it's made by now. Country Scenics, I believe. And it's gone along there. And right up to the where the old bit starts there, so separated off the garden there as well. But yeah, that came out quite well. But the main thing which has been taking up a lot of time over the past month or so is this. Ballasting has finally commenced. I've only done a quarter of the section if I stand back. As you can see, I've only done about a quarter of what needs to be done, or just under a quarter if you include where the yard's going to go to, because that's all going to be ballasted. I don't, tell me what you think. I've spent quite a lot of time and many weeks faffing about with just this section, and I'm not sure I'm not sure what I think of it, but I want to get your opinion on it. But basically, I've used Woodland Scenics medium grey blend, purely because it comes in a massive bag and there's a nice variety of grey tones in there. Also, I've got a few of these bags, so I bought them as testers for Compton Martin, but then I used what was then medium buff ballast. But since as soon as I started work on Compton Martin, they changed the colour and the tone of buff ballast. So it was again still the same code, still the same you know, apparently the same colour, but the colour was much lighter. In fact, they actually changed it to this colour, this lighter colour, and also the ballast itself, although being medium ballast, was slightly larger. I don't know why, but it changed over, and so it came out perfect on Compton Martin, and I was really hoping to find a medium ballast which is roughly the same size as that medium ballast, if you get my gist. And basically, if you get the gist of things, sorry, lost trail of thought there again. But anyway, so basically I was trying to find that sort of slightly smaller grade of ballast, and but sadly they don't do that anymore. So I had to go with Woodland Scenics medium buff ballast, which I'm not sure if it feels too large or but it looks about right. But I've tried fine ballast, but fine ballast is like sand, and it's, you know, a bit too fine. But you know, I want something basically in between medium and fine sort of thing. You know, the perfect 50-50, sort of double the size of fine, but half the size of, you know, this medium ballast. But anyway, I've gone on ahead and done medium ballast. You know, might as well just get cracking with it. What I've done is I've obviously did the same method as I did on Compton Martin. You know, water PVA. I put glue in between the tracks, not in between the rails, but in between the tracks here where there's a large area to help it adhesive more. You paint down PVA, put it down, then water and PVA over the top, and it's quite solid. See, not coming off. There are a few little loose bits that I need to hoover up, but I've also done in between the rails. I'm not sure about painting the sleepers because it'll take me ages to paint the sleepers, but it doesn't look too bad. But please tell me what you think. I also dulled it down slightly when I before I added the PVA and water. I used just a water with like a dye in it, I think I used at first I used this black. It's well, Woodland Scenics earth colours, and it's black liquid pigment. I added a bit of that to water, so I basically put it on the ballast, because as you can see the ballast is quite light, but now you can see it's on the track, it's sort of a bit darker. So I used that to dull it down a bit, but I didn't feel it dulled it down enough. So when I put on, so basically I put it on, then I put another layer of PVA on, and then to make sure it goes rock solid, I waited till it dried and then added another layer of PVA and water. But in between that, I added another layer of water again with a bit of acrylic paint mixed into it, and this time I added Rail Match Frame Dirt, I believe. That's what I think that's the colour it is. Yeah, they are Frame Dirt, it's out of focus. So I mixed a bit of that in and made like a browny colour, because I actually know a ballast does tend to go a brownish colour, which is why I used the darker buff ballast compared to that on Compton Martin in the first place. And I was hoping to try and get that colour, but it dulled it down a bit more, and I think it looks much better than what I did. And also to blend it in a bit more, of course, I scattered, while it was all wet with the PVA and water on there, I sprinkled over the top a fine layer of very fine earth turf, the same sort of stuff that I used for the rock face. And as you can see, there's little patches of it around and all that. Obviously this area is going to be blank along here at the moment, because I'm going to do precisely the same as what I did there, in between that track, just like on the original layer. Reason for that, although that's the main line and that's the branch line, so technically these lines should be quite close together, being the main line. On the Somerset of Dorset there was a section where the lines sort of split apart to go into two tunnels before coming back together. So to give it more of that S&D feel, I'm actually just going to do that there. I've got these old power clips here, I'm not sure whether to replace them, but I am thinking about doing that in the near future. Another thing I'm thinking about doing is replacing my HM2000. I've got two of them, as you know, one for the branch line and incline line down there, and also this one here. But as you know, sadly, a couple of weeks ago, I think it was in the last update, Chew Valley had blew up, let's just say. And I was trying to figure out what went wrong, because she ran perfectly fine on Compton Martin on a Gauge Master combi, but as soon as I put her on the main layout, she fizzled out. And I was starting to think, was it the controller? As you've seen in my wagon review week, when the 9F pulls away, it makes quite a grouching noise, and I'm not sure whether that's the voltage or the amps or whatever, or it's just the loco in general, because some of the models now are getting quite louder, to save parts. They run perfectly smoothly, but they sound a bit loud when pulling away. So I did a bit of research into the HM2000 and found out that average controller, like a Gauge Master Combi and many other controllers on the market, put out 1.8 amp or something like that. Now, I'm no electrician, and I don't know what the amps do compared to voltage and all that, but the voltage is precisely the same between the two, but it's 1.8 amp on Gauge Master controllers, and oddly, Hornby HM2000s strangely put out 2 amp. So, I'm not sure whether the small motor in Chew Valley, bit the dust because of the amps put out by this controller, or not. If you know what I mean. Or because she ran perfectly fine on there, but strangely though, Flash on the other hand seems to run fine-ish on here. I would say she runs fine-ish. She runs better on a Gauge Master combi, no doubt about that. But and the Batman standard controller on Compton Key, she does judder a bit, but she doesn't stop and go puff like up in smoke like what Chew Valley did, which is a bit strange. So I'm maybe thinking of investing in a Gauge Master D, I believe it is. It's a double controller. It's quite smaller, so it means I can get a bit more scenery in this area when I get around to doing it. And also it means I might be getting smoother running. As you know, I've been contemplating whether or not to rip up certain tracks like the incline line and maybe even the branch line, I don't know. But because, I've got nowhere really to rest my camera, but the two lines I use the most is the main lines, one train on the outer main line, one train on the inner main line. That's my favourite sort of running, ideal sort of thing, because otherwise the branch line trains when filming tend to get in the way, and the incline line is just a pain to clean, and also, as you know, it goes along the exposed girder, which tends to get condensation on it, which is, a bit sad really. Well, it doesn't anymore due to the dehumidifier, but you know what I mean, I want to try and sort out covering up that at some point, like I did there, but obviously a bit thinner. Oh yeah, that's another thing, I managed to screw that on. But so yeah, I'm not sure what to do with this line sort of thing, but I'm thinking of going into Gauge Master Controller to maybe get smoother running, and maybe that might solve the grinding, not the grinding problem, but the pulling away problem with the loud groaning noise of the engines, and that. But yeah. Oh, another thing. I'm not sure if this is all right. But if I look down the track, does that look all right to you? I know it seems a bit silly, but on Compton Martin, due to the ballast being slightly smaller, I can get it perfectly flat and level all the way along. But with this sort of bit coarser stuff, obviously it's still medium, but apparently medium anyway. But it looks a bit rough, if you know what I mean. It looks like it's a bit tacky the way I've done it. Obviously, I've still got to clear tiny bits off the sleepers, like there. Go on. Yeah, it's off. But you know what I mean, it looks a bit rough to me, and I'm just worried that will any of the flanges of the wheels hit it. I've ran a few carriages over the top, and they seem perfectly fine and smooth, but I'm just a bit, I'm one of those skeptics, if you know what I mean. I don't want to do any damage. But no, it looks, I feel it looks fine, but tell me your opinion on that. And sorry it's going to be a bit of a long update, but I've got a lot to get through. But one more thing before I go is I've actually passed my driving test. Finally, it took me a year of practice and 2 tests. I failed my first one. I won't go into details on how I failed, but I got a major basically. I only had 3 minors, and then I got a major, which of course means that I didn't pass. But I passed second time round with only 1 minor, which I was absolutely chuffed to bits with. I thought I had a few little minors, but no, I only had the 1. So I'm now on the road, sort of thing. So I'm hoping to get to a few preserved railways very, very shortly, and doing that. So progress might be a bit slow again. But for now, I'm gonna finish off that area by putting all the trees and grass and all that on there, while I can lean on the board while there's no track there. Then I've got to finish off the arches by putting these in. I know it looks, I'm not sure how to combat that sort of area to try and cut them correct size, because as you know, I just roll up a bit of paper and put them in there. Well, that Metcalfe card and put it in there to create an arch effect. But I'm not sure how that's going to turn out, but I've got to do that. I've got to put a few more little blocks of wood in there to hold the ends in, and then obviously I've got to cut each one to size, because I can't slide them in when the track's there. So I've got to do that sort of back scene first, back area first. As soon as that's done, I can then hammer down the track. I then have to move Compton Martin out from under there, split it in half, and then put half of it under here, which means I have more space to walk around there. And it also means that if there's any drips that find their way through the board through old pinholes and of course the cracks in the board, that any PVA and water won't drip onto Compton Martin. As you can see, it's got really dusty down here. It's really, really annoying. I'm not sure I'm going to dust that off, but I've got to find a way to clean that off. And as you know, getting dust off of fabric is quite annoying. And then I'm going to put a cover over each one. So that means it will protect the black cover, which is the cover which drops down in front of the legs when it's standing up. And it also means I'll be able to, when all the ballast is dry there, I'll be able to move that half under there and that half under there, and I'll have plenty of room to operate the station over there. But anyway, sorry that I've blabbered on and in some places made no sense, as usual, as with every SDJR SNF 88 layout update. But anyway, it's been a bit of a big one today, and I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you think that what I've done so far to this end of the layout is okay, looking good. So anyway, thank you ever so much for watching and listening to my my blabberings, as they say. So this has been SDJR SNF 88 speaking, and thanks for watching.